In this video, I'll take you through a journey from a bad dashboard to a good dashboard. And along the way, I'm going to talk about 7 mistakes that I see people making while they're designing their reports and their dashboards. Hi, if you're new to my channel, my name is Chandeep and I create a lot of content on Excel and Power BI and help business users like you level up their data skills. All right, without any further ado, let's start the journey. Common mistake number 1. A lot of people are going to make bar charts, but there are going to be far too many categories that spread the bars across, and you will have an endless scroll in the chart. Take a look at something like this, which is where we have obviously a bar chart. And since we have so many products available in the company, you will endlessly scroll to reach the bottom of the chart. Now, I don't even know if somebody would like to take a look at all the values in the bar chart or not. It is always a good idea to even summarize your bar charts. A good example of summarizing the bar chart can look something like this, which is where I know that people are interested in taking a look at the top N products, 2, 3, 5, 10, howsoever many number of top N products, and the rest can be bundled in others. And we've created a chart like this, which is where I am just showing the top 6 products, which are right here. I can show their contribution. I can show what is the sales if I add them all, and rest everything else is been bundled as others. And that's what makes a good chart. Now, you don't really have an endless scroll. And if somebody wants to change it, you can obviously kind of change the slicer here and have as many number of values appear in the chart. This is massively going to shrink the overhead and cognitive load of the chart, and somebody will just take a look at the most meaningful information and not every possible product and the bar values there are. Now, obviously, your question is, how the heck do I build a chart like that? I have done a video on that in the past, which is very detailed, very instructive. I suggest that you please take a look at that video and try improving your bar charts and not having an endless scroll and multiple bars for multiple categories. The second one is a big one, and I cannot really imagine to tell you that how much impact is it going to have on your graphs and your chart. It is not writing good titles for your charts. Most people, rookie people, when they start making dashboards, they are going to go with generic titles that Power BI slaps on every single visual, like sales by region, cost by category, and things like that. Now, that is just not a good title. Yes, it describes what the chart is. It talks about the regions or whatever is there in the axis, but it doesn't qualify for a good title. If you actually take a look at different reports from McKinsey, Boston and Bain, these top consulting firms, you're going to see that literally write multiple lines of titles in their chart. The reason being, they just want the user to pay attention at the most important information right at the start of the chart. And if they want to then further read the chart, they can go ahead and read the chart and make more inferences out of it. But they would want to be very intentional in giving up the most inferential piece of information built right into the chart. Well, the question is, how can we do the same for Power BI? I have this chart right here, which is where I have total cost by month, and we have all the months right here, but it's a bad title. I don't really get to have anything special driven from this particular chart. However, if I improve the title of the chart, it looks something like this. Again, the same information whatsoever. We have the total cost, but if you now take a look at the title, I get to see that the 2 months, July and September, they showed the highest cost increase as compared to the last year. Now, this information was slightly dug up in the chart. It was not obvious, and we made an inferential title. Now, I'm not saying that this information is the best information and you should use also this very information in your chart, but all I am saying is take a step beyond standard titles, find an inference which is valuable to the end user and put that in the title. I've also done a video in the past on how to make good titles and how do you make it dynamic using Power BI, DAX measures and things like that. I will highly recommend that you go take a look at that video as well. But please get into the habit of writing excellent titles for your visualizations. People don't realize the importance and the ubiquitousness of the table visualizations. Tables are literally like everywhere. Income statements are table, cash flow statements are table, balance sheets are table. Almost every possible regular visual that you end up taking a look at is nothing but a table visualization because it gives you preciseness and accuracy of the information provided. But the problem is people don't generally prefer table visualizations because they don't look like sexy visuals. And I'm going to talk about 2 ways in which you can make your table visualizations stand out and you can make them better. The first method is to just improve the formatting and the layout of the table visualizations. By just doing that, if you just clean up the table visualizations, your tables are going to look a lot better. Take a look at this example. So I have the year right here and I've got a table, and this table doesn't quite look very well. So Obviously, we have the stock type, we have the products right here, we have the products sold, profit margin, and average sales per day. Not very interesting. But if I start to take active steps in improving the quality of the formatting of the table, this table visualization can look very different than what it is at the moment. Take a look at a bit formatted visual and you're going to see the stark difference between what we had and what we have now. You can see that I obviously have divided the stock type and the product subcategory into two different columns. That just makes it easier for anybody to consume the visual. You can see that I have also added a collapsible plus minus button, which is actually going to help the visual condense the entire stock category into a single row. You can also see that I have also added padding in the tables, which is going to give each row a bit of room to breathe and get more white space in the visual. You can also see that I have also added bars here, like a small chart here, conditional formatting bars. And these are telling me that which is the highest subcategory, which has the highest average sales per day. Just removal of a lot of non-essential stuff, the dark borders, the outlines, and just making the visual cleaner is going to instantly improve the formatting and the look and feel of the table visuals. Do not discard the table visuals. They are actually very good. Now comes the part where I talk about that how can you make your table visualizations analytically superior. No matter how much formatting you end up doing on the table visualization, it is not going to have that much impression on the end user unless you also add analytical value to the table. Insights that were earlier not there and now you have them, and that makes the table visualization analytically superior. Let me show you how. So again, we have a table visualization, which is where we are having the product subcategory and the products within that, and we have sales. Now, this is a standard looking table visualization. If I do all the formatting work that I did it in the past, I will still get a better looking table visualizations. But if I happen to improve the analytical value of the table, meaning I add more elements which are interesting to the end user, the table is going to become a lot more interesting to the end user. Let me show you how. Take a look at the same table visualization. Again, I've done a bit of formatting work here to kind of spread that out into two different columns. And the same technique that we applied in the bar chart, I have applied it in the table visualization as well. Rather than taking a look at every single product in the subcategory, I'm just taking a look at the top 4 products, which are right here. Everything else has been bundled into others. And I have also provided a reference point as to how you should feel about this particular product. All of these top products, the top 4 products in 2009 are lower as compared to their sales last year. This actually gives you a lot of perspective as to how do you read the table visualization and what inferences can you make out of it. So the most important being, please go ahead and improve your table visualizations on 2 fronts. First one, improve the formatting of that. And the second front is improve the analytical value of those tables. I've done videos on both the topics, which is improving the formatting of the table and also improving the analytical value of the table. And of course, this visualization, which is where you can pick up the top value and spread that out into others as well. I have also done a video for that. I'm going to leave links for all of these videos. I suggest that you go take a look at them as well. My team and I have a lot of experience of helping companies solve their most difficult data and reporting problems. If you are in the position of authority and need help building your reports, setting up automation, and helping you save a bunch of time and raise the quality of analytical reports in your organization, then please fill up the consulting request form appearing on the screen and my team is going to be in touch with you. And also, if you like this type of content where I break down different visualization aspects of building good visualizations for your reports and dashboard, then please do give this video a like and subscribe, and I'll be making more such awesome content in the future. The next thing that freaks me out when I take a look at reports and visualizations is poor number formatting. Take a look at the dashboard currently, which is half cooked at the moment. We have sales, but there is no dollar sign here. We have cost, but there is again no dollar sign here. Profit has a K, which is not consistent with the other two. There are far too many decimal number of places right here and all of that. And if this kind of goes ahead and starts to reflect in your visuals right here, obviously all the visuals start to look heavy and they start to look bad. I'm going to highly recommend that once you're building your dashboards and reports, you please take a look at the formatting of every single number that goes up on the screen. Dollar signs, currency symbol, comma separation, decimal places, all of that should be consistent across the board in the entire dashboard. That actually helps the user consume the information more consistently across the entire screen space. You can obviously take a look at this current visualization that we have made. All the numbers seem more or less consistent, and that is going to help the user a lot better in consuming the information while they're going through the report. All right, this is quite interesting because I've seen this people doing it a lot, like stretching the chart to kind of fill up the entire space. Take a look at this current visual. If you take a look at the bar chart at the bottom right here, you're going to see that the bars are unusually stretched to fill up this entire space. I mean, if you think about it, these 3 values could very well be understood even if the bars were smaller. So if I just reduce the size of the bar to probably something like this or something like this, you can see that the values are still very legible and I can still read the values. There is no trouble in reading the values whatsoever. But because the developer did not plan for the layout and the space, they ended up having a lot more space, and in order to fill the space, they ended up stretching the bar chart all the way to fill up the space. This is definitely not a good idea. Now, the solve for such a situation is obviously to reduce the size of your bar charts and not stretch them endlessly, but you're going to have empty spaces in between if you're just kind of collapsing the bar chart. So how do you actually fill up the gaps? The solution to that particular problem is that you have to plan your dashboards before you end up making them. Because if you start building the dashboards, you're actually planning out the real estate of the dashboard in real time while you're dropping the charts on the screen. There is no blueprint that you have made that actually allows you to take a look at the entire canvas, plan every single visual on that canvas, and then drop them very intentionally. You are just trying to fill up the space of the real estate that you have rather than actually planning it and then executing that plan. The last one is quite a big one, and that is not following the proximity principle and the alignment of different objects on the screen. Take a look at this particular visualization. Now, there are two problems. The first one is alignment problem. If you just take a look at the dashboard, there are a lot of places where the alignment is not coherent. It's not organized. If you now take a look at this, my eyes are seeking some sort of order which is missing from the dashboard. You take a look at the three slicers on the right hand side, are kind of misaligned. The distance between the card visuals is just not the same right here. This is more. And here also, all the charts are not properly aligned. So you can see that this one is going down a bit. This one is, also not aligned properly. And you can also see that the same thing goes on right here as well. You have to get into the habit of aligning things very strongly on the canvas. Alignment enforces order, and your eyes obviously seek order for that thing to look good on the screen. Take a simple example of your working desk. If you just align the things on the working desk in order with each other, the table suddenly starts to look clean as compared to a scattered table. You can have a lot of items on the table, but just aligning those items is going to have a lot more orderly and clean layout of the table. The same applies to a dashboard as well. The second principle is the proximity principle. What do I mean by that? Take a look at the dashboard. So you have a bunch of slicers up on the top, and if I just maybe scroll through the slicers, maybe take a look at 2009 value or 7 value, of course the values change. Now my mind, when it's reading the dashboard, it obviously understands that this slicer is kind of working on all the visuals of the screen. Fair enough. But if I actually go ahead and take a look at the measure choice visual, and if I just maybe go ahead and pick up the profit, none of the visuals change, but only these two visualizations end up changing, which are right here and right here. This is bad proximity. That means that if this particular slicer only relates to these visuals, you don't really want to play dumb charades with the end user and leave him guessing as to where the slicers are connected. You want to keep things proximate, which are related to one another. This is super important. Things which are connected to one another, these could be labels, legends, titles, or slicers, or interconnected things, they should be proximate to one another. Let's just take a look at a good layout of the dashboard, which takes care of everything that we just spoke about: the layout, the planning of the dashboard, as well as the proximity principle and alignment as well. So obviously we can kind of divide the entire dashboard into two parts. We can have a revenue performance, all the metrics right here, and we can have a cost and profitability right here. And you can also see that the order of the information is also kept intact. That means the most important information is coming up right up on the top, which are my card visualizations. Then there are charts, there are tables, and everything from there kind of goes down into detail. So you have the most important information, broader KPIs right up on the top, and then it kind of lays down. You can also see that the strong sense of alignment brings order to the dashboard. And this is what I call as a good dashboard, which has a clean layout. It has information properly coherenced one after the other. It has a strong sense of alignment. The charts which are relating to one another also kind of are kept along with one another. You can also see that once I was taking a look at the bad dashboard, I was seeing a mix of the sales and cost metrics scattered all around the place. I divided them into two different buckets. One is the revenue performance. The other one is the cost performance. The organization of the information into two different buckets makes it a lot easier for the user to consume the dashboard.